We were talking about something else earlier today that it's interesting to think of how technology has progressed. That certain things that were mainstays in your house are not there anymore, or at least in the majority of people's houses. Gittles had a problem with his headset with the Bluetooth, and he was starting to realize that not all Bluetooth is the same, even though they try to say that it is. It's the receiver in there is either really good or it's terrible. And you got a new pair of headphones by JBL, right?
Yeah, because I had just like this cheap pair of like Audio Technica headphones, and like they were fine. Like the sound quality was fine on them, but always connecting with the Bluetooth was a nightmare. Like I would either have to constantly turn the Bluetooth on and off on my phone, or constantly turn the headphones on and off before we connect. And once it connected, it was fine, but just trying to get it to connect was a pain in the ass. And then I got, these brand new speakers, and they connect every time, first try. So I believe that it was probably shitty technology.
It is. All that stuff you get like at a Five Below is just, it's a quick fix. It's not meant for longevity.
I got this at a Four Below. It was even cheaper.
They had all the brands like Magnet Box and Sony.
Yeah, and Sony.
Panaphonics. Right. Yeah. See, here we go. Telegraphing again. So you got the new headphones. They were JBL. And it made me think about, I haven't seen JBL products in a while. And I remember back in the, growing up on Long Island, we had a big stereo system in the den. And it was a Sony stereo system, and it had the entertainment structure for the stereo that it also had it was almost like a rack unit, but it was wood to look like furniture.
Everyone had that wood paneled stereo system.
Right. So it would, we had the turntable on top, the actual receiver unit with the dual cassette tape, and then the CD player right under it, and anything else you wanted to add to it. And then the giant speakers that went up to the height of where the turntable was. Well, over time, I guess those speakers just died out or got crackly or whatever. So rather than replacing them with big Sonys, she got the smaller studio, like monitor level JBL speakers, short and square, right? But heavy, thinking that they're going to hang it around the den to make sense, like put them in the corners and everything, balance it out so when you turn everything on, TV, radio, whatever, it sounds great. She just puts them on top of the speakers that don't work, right? Mm-hmm. Like people that have a working TV above a broken TV because it's just something to put it on.
Yep.
That's what this was. And I haven't seen JBL speakers or anything really that I remember since then. And I was thinking about that, and I go, yeah, it was so ridiculous they didn't get rid of the other speakers and hang this up. And then it dawned on me, it's like, people don't have stereos in their house anymore. Some people may have a receiver and a speaker set up if they're into vinyl, like they have an old vinyl. I have an old vinyl player that I guess is still worth a lot of money, Technic or Tectonic or something like that. It's from the 70s. Like you hit this thing, you have to really press the button, and then that thing spins up, and then you stare at the bass under the record, and it's got those dots, so it looks like it's going in different directions, and you can definitely tell that it's from the 70s. Technics. Yeah, there you go. Thank you, Gio. That's exactly what it was. But you could plug them into the receiver unit for your stereo and these big speakers, whatever. But nobody really has a stereo in their house anymore because of Bluetooth technology, because of stuff on their phones. Their TV can stream and play the music for you through the soundbar. You don't need a stereo anymore.
Well, because remember, it was like 15 years ago, maybe 15, even 20 years ago, when Bose, this was before Bluetooth, when Bose was just like, get the home theater experience and get all this stuff, and we'll hide all the cables in the wall. Right. And like that technology just got better and better to now it's just like you don't have a stereo system anymore, because like as you said, you can just plug in YouTube to a speaker and it sounds like a great sound system,
right?
So you don't need all that.
You don't need that. Even if you have turntables nowadays that are made not like the crappy USB plastic ones, but legit companies that make turntables have a USB connection to go to your computer or to another unit, also have Bluetooth on them. The mechanics are still there, the old-fashioned mechanics, and it's metal and everything. It's still there, but it now can transfer for Bluetooth. You could just send it to a sound bar
Yep,
or
that's it. You just send it right to a
I have
soundbar.
Bluetooth Bose speakers in different parts of the house. So if I'm in that room, I turn it on, it pairs, and it plays there, and it fills the room. It sounds amazing. But you don't need that big, giant, clunky stereo anymore. And most people don't have that anymore. I've worked in radio my entire life. I don't have a radio in my house, and I haven't for almost 2 decades.
Yeah,
There's
I have
no
like
need for it.
I have one radio in here, and I'll have to see if I can dig it out. I think it's on my dresser, but I have a radio because somebody was throwing it out. And the only reason why I took it, actually, I'm going to get it now. Hold on, give me 1 second. The only reason why I got it is because it's an old radio. Like, it has inputs, so you can like actually mix tapes with it. Hold on.
All right, you go get that. With some of these turntables now that they're still running off auxiliary cables, you can patch them right into a soundbar or a little Bluetooth device where you plug it into there, and then that transmits it to wherever you want to go. Like if you have a Sonos system, which is an amazing sound system for outside your house, or if you want to set up your whole house that way, we can program it room to room. They all take Bluetooth as well, so you just don't need that big thing unless you value the look of it or have some sort of appreciation for it. You don't need it anymore, and you don't really see a big stereo section if you go into one of the remaining Best Buys that still exist in this country. You don't see it. They got rid of the DVD section. That's all gone. There's no CD section. Let me see. Put it up to the screen so we can see it. All right, that's very 80s.
Dude, look at this thing. National Panasonic.
Yeah.
It's got the little counter on it to tell you how long you played your tape. But this is why I took it from the garbage.
Wait, put it up there again. Put it up there again so I can do the solo screen so we can see it. Okay.
So it's got
look at that.
Like
That's
the
a very
stereo is
80s
on
looking
right now.
model.
I just hit the tuning dial.
Okay.
But look, it's got all the input jacks here. So if you actually wanted to mix a mixtape with it, you can.
Yeah.
So that's why I took it. I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. It was in the garbage and it works. So I can just, let's see where
I mean, I can do all that with the computer. I don't really need that anymore, but I get it.
Listen to that.
That's just a jazz station you tuned into.
Hear that, man?
I hear it.
The kids are going to be listening to this in 50 years. Like, yeah, it's pretty cool, right?
Yeah, Heather Hartwell's in the chat saying, I have a double tape deck boom box with a radio too. I love my old technology. Look,
yeah, it's great.
I think the 80s is when the last you can apply this to, but the way that thing looked, right? When you say old radio, I'm thinking those old radios that used to be furniture or looked like they were broadcast. They had broadcast tubes and stuff, like those old 30s,
this thing
40s,
weighs like
50s
15
radios.
pounds, too. It's super heavy.
Because it's all D batteries, probably, right?
Yeah, it's 6 of them.
Yeah, 6 D batteries. That's exactly why it weighs a lot. But that kind of radio that you have, you could hang that or put it on a shelf somewhere, and it looks okay, right? It's interesting to look at.
Like this.
It doesn't disappear. Like when you get into the 90s, everything was jet black, so it would hide. Like how cars are all plain and there's nothing really exotic by a lot of cars by the standards by today.
Yeah.
That's what technology started doing in the 90s. The DVD player, the CD player units, the whatever remaining boom boxes, the stereo units, they were all this jet black thing so that it would hide somewhere in your room and not be noticeable. It was meant to be invisible. That right there on a shelf, you'd walk in and go, oh, that's kind of cool. I would look at that, just like how you found it. Like, I would look at that. Older radios, when going back to the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, the way they look, if they were sitting in somebody's room, it's a conversation piece. It's almost art at this point, where you can go and look and go, wow, look at this old radio here with the mesh netting and the wood paneling and how they built all that stuff, because they don't do it anymore. But yeah, that's a good piece to have on display. I don't know if I'd actually use it anymore.
I mean, the fact that it still works. Like, I put batteries in this thing 2 years ago, and I literally just turned it on. It still works. So, like, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
You know me. I like to collect weird things I find. If it still works, I'll collect
Chris
it.
in the chat says you're talking about component systems. The old school stereo systems were to match.
This antenna is.
I see that. That'll break if you keep doing it that way because it's so thin. The old school stereo systems were to match the old school televisions in the cabinet that were totally furniture in the 70s. Yeah, I think the 70s was the last time they started building televisions as furniture. I remember
Oh yeah, you had the TV with the 2 built-in speakers on the side.
It was a giant cabinet. Like sometimes, like there would be a bar over here, or if you lift this part up above the TV, oh, there's the record player. Like it was an all-in-one furniture unit. We had a TV. I remember as a little kid, we had a TV with the white paneling that looked like the TVs that were supposed to be of the future from 2001: A Space Odyssey. The white wood around it there made it look like it was futuristic, and it was just a piece of junk by. A couple years later, it was totally unnecessary. Gabby in the chat, necessarily for the upcoming apocalypse. Yes, Giddles, you have those batteries, or if you can get one of those wind-up charge radios, you'll be sitting pretty with. Yeah, you'll have the ability to receive broadcasts that nobody has power or anything to actually transmit. So, Heather says, "Bingo! That's why I make sure I have a radio." All right. Everyone's prepping for the end of the world.
You got to have it. You got to be prepared.